This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by For All Seasons Behavioral Health and Rape Crisis Center.
Vulnerability. We've all experienced it, and while it's often thought of as an emotion that's negative or weak, our next guest says that's simply not true. We are happy to have back with us today Beth Ann Langrill. She's the CEO of For All Seasons Behavioral Health and Rape Crisis Center in Easton. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely, it's great to see you.
You say vulnerability is actually a strength.
It is a strength, and it's so often seen as a weakness or something that you have to compromise to be able to sit in vulnerability. But vulnerability takes a lot of courage, and it is something that absolutely is a strength if we can harness that piece of who we are.
Yeah, so explain what someone experiences when they are most vulnerable.
So you might feel things like shame or guilt, or feel as though it is something that if you venture down that road, there's something wrong with you, or you're going to be made fun of. As children, we're taught that vulnerability is not always a good thing. You hear things like toughen up or stop crying. Those are the ways that we have societalized vulnerability, but there is some real strength and courage that can come from being able to understand that vulnerability is an important piece of who we are, and that you can be a strong and confident person and also be vulnerable at the same time.
And you say that there are certain life events that can lead to vulnerability.
Sure, like anything that is difficult or hard. If we pay attention to the moments where we are experiencing pain, if we are experiencing the loss of a job, the loss of a friendship, those are the moments where if we can harness some mindfulness, that we can pay attention to, oh, well, this is how it's making me feel in my body. We've talked about stress and anxiety. Vulnerability shows up in that same way. More times than not, it's that fear of being hurt. It's the fear of loss. And how we handle that makes all of the difference.
And do you think it's that fear that keeps people from, avoiding vulnerability?
Sure, it's so easy, right? Think about the times where we know that we are going to experience something hard. Isn't it easiest just to say, I'm just going to pretend? So, Brene Brown, who we do a lot of our work because of her Dare to Lead book, she calls it armoring up. And so it's that time where if I put up my walls and if I put up my armor, I can stay safe in my own little space, versus having the ability to say, okay, here's how I'm feeling. Having a conversation with someone and saying, here's how you made me feel. And I am not looking for you to fix it, but I'm looking for you to acknowledge it. Or maybe it is a conversation of, this situation happened and I need you to understand how it impacted me. Those are hard conversations to have.
Yeah. So how does perfectionism play into all of this?
Do you ever experience, I don't know about you, but I am the person who I always want to get it right all the time. And so there's a lot of self-doubt that is created if I don't get it right the first time. And I hear that from folks all the time. And so if we can allow ourselves to get it wrong and give ourselves permission to not do it right all the time, then we can create a space of, okay, so it didn't go well this time, but maybe it will go well another time. And giving it a go a second time around helps us to feel less pressure and gives that space for, if I get something wrong as a friend, you're going to say to me, Beth Ann, it's totally fine. If I get something wrong myself, the self-talk that I have is, oh, I cannot believe I didn't do this right. And so really trying to hone in on that skill of talking to ourselves like we would talk to our friends helps us to be able to feel less that perfectionist that we tend to fall into.
Wouldn't it be just simpler to just numb our emotions?
Absolutely. if we could all live in our bubble and we can all just put our walls up and everybody goes through life like a robot. But that's not the reality. The reality is that, the human side of us needs connection. We need to feel seen, heard, and valued, and that comes along with being valued and also being able to be vulnerable and share how we're being impacted, and also being aware of how we're impacting other people in that space, so that when someone else is vulnerable with us, we have the ability to hear it and take it in and own it and move forward.
Okay, so that sounds like a long jump to get from where we are now to being okay with vulnerability. Where do we start? How do we get there?
Just, I would say the first step is just being mindful. It's being mindful of understanding how words and actions that we are doing are impacting other people, and being able to, filter in the art of the pause, being able to simply sit when things are not going well and figure out why you're feeling what you're feeling. You know, I have one of my very best girlfriends is my person, and when things are not going well, I will call her and I will say, this is how I'm feeling about this situation. I need to talk it through, and getting some grounding so that I can have a productive, vulnerable conversation. It is not something you're going to learn overnight. It's okay to get it wrong. We just have to continue to give ourselves the space to not be perfect through the journey.
Wonderful, wonderful words. Beth Ann Langrill, the CEO of For All Seasons Behavioral Health and Rape Crisis Center in Easton. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.